Welcome to the Grayzone. If you're just joining, I'm here with Aaron Mate, my colleague at the Grayzone, and we've been discussing the proxy war in Ukraine, but the background noise to that war was the Russiagate hoax and the hysteria that was ginned up, manufactured by intelligence-related outfits like the Alliance for Securing Democracy and its Hamilton 68 dashboard of Russian bots. The hysteria over Russian bots and trolls infiltrating U.S. media and basically hacking the brains of Americans to make them even participate in destabilizing protests. So Matt Taibbi, our friend over at Substack, independent journalist, has obtained files at Twitter HQ which demonstrate that Twitter executives knew that the Hamilton 68 dashboard that they were being told to obey as a guide for censorship was a complete fraud, that they chose to say nothing and didn't blow this scandal up. And that, yes, the Alliance for Securing Democracy was lying to the American public to gin up Russiagate. So here's Matt Taibbi's thread. Aaron, any comments before we play his video?
Well, just like the theme of Matt's reporting on the Twitter files so far is just the intense pressure that Twitter came under from Russiagate fraudsters to validate their scam. So when Twitter looked for Russian bots, they came up empty. They found nothing. And so there was just this huge deluge of pressure from people at the FBI, from prominent Democrats like Mark Warner and Adam Schiff on Twitter to come up with something that could make Russiagate look credible. And this Hamilton 68 dashboard, which supposedly tracked all these Russian bots, is another example of that.
Well, here's a little video Matt made, I presume, with Matt Orfalea at Racket, which is the name of his new Substack site.
You and your team, you guys created a website, Hamilton 68.
Yes, my colleagues and I, we tracked Russian accounts.
That's some bullshit.
So they're literally right now, there are Russian bots, according to your website, that are putting this out into the world. Is that correct?
It's bullshit.
You and your team, you guys created a website.
So yeah, it's BS. And if you look at the second tweet, this is Yoel Roth, who was the sort of Twitter's director of moderation, saying, I think we need to just call this out as the BS it is.
Even Yoel Roth called bullshit on this, which is hilarious because Yoel Roth is the Twitter executive who recommended that Twitter suppress reporting on the Hunter Biden laptop after some former U.S. officials said that it could be part of a Russian plot. So Yoel Roth, who's a documented dupe, was still able to see through the BS that was the Hamilton 68 scam. So that's pretty damning for Clint Watts, because even a dupe like Yoel Roth could see through it.
Yeah, I mean, Yoel Roth, he's part of the regime. He believed in using Twitter as a vehicle to advance the political aspirations of the Democratic Party. That's pretty clear. And here he believes at least in some semblance of truth, and that this was just an attempt by this, hysterical Russiagate figures who were part of the board of the Alliance for Securing Democracy, like Michael McFaul, like Bill Kristol. I think Michael Morell was on the board, former deputy CIA director.
And Max, just remind us again, so what was going on? So I remember at the time this was a big deal. So I remember there was all these stories in the New York Times, Washington Post saying the Alliance for Securing Democracy, this dashboard, has kept track of all these Russian bots and they're littering social media. And this was used to justify, crackdowns or censorship and moderating content. But like, what was the impact of this at the time? Because I remember you did a big piece on this. And
I think I was the first journalist to call out Clint Watts as a complete fraud. I did a series on him and all the other people that he was working with at the Alliance for Securing Democracy. I saw the writing on the wall, and I saw that this was part of a wider attempt to influence the American public to support a war with Russia, to believe that Russia was infiltrating the social media platforms that function as their digital commons, and that any story they saw that criticized the establishment could be portrayed as Russian influence, which was what they proceeded to do at Hamilton 68 with this dashboard.
Right.
So they said all along Hamilton 68 that they had a list of 500 Russian bots, that they provided it to Twitter and told Twitter, you have to take these all down. And they were telling the public that there were these bots. And I would always say, produce the list, show us the list. Yeah. Where's the list? Prove it. And you'll see in Matt Taibbi's thread, Twitter executives like Yoel Roth were saying, this list is basically a bunch of conservative accounts mixed in with like the Russian foreign ministry. There are no Russian bots here. It's all a lie. We need to call it out. And who tells him not to call it out? It's Emily Horn, the director of communications at Twitter, who is former Obama NSC and went on to work in the Biden administration, and someone who would go on to work for Pete Buttigieg's campaign, who's a Twitter executive, who said, well, there are long-term issues here, even though we acknowledge it's false. And what are the long-term issues? We need to help the Democrats win. And this is part of their formula is Trump, Russia, Trump, Russia.
And one name that appears in this list of Russian bots is Joe Loria, who's the editor-in-chief of Consortium News. Great site founded by the legendary reporter Robert Perry. And he is named, according to Clint Watts and his dashboard, as a Russian bot.
I mean, this is pure McCarthyism. It is a literal blacklist for the digital era. It's disgusting. That's what I called them, McCarthyism Incorporated, in one of the headlines of a piece I did about them back in 2018. And Aaron, we have the list. We finally have the list.